welcome to today's lesson, which is multiplying and dividing mixed numbers. Okay, so hopefully you've watched the video on multiplying normal fractions, but now we're looking today at multiplying mixed numbers, and there's an added element to this. You might also want to watch the video on converting between mixed numbers and top-heavy fractions if you've not seen that one, but let's have a look at this one and let's go into question 1. So let's get example 1 in our notes. Remember to make sure you get down all of these examples because the only way to learn my sister do it. So here we've got 3 and 1 over 5 times by 2. So with this one here, the first thing we have to do is to change this one here into a improper fraction. Okay, so we do that by timesing the whole by the bottom and adding the numerators, or timesing the whole by the denominator and adding the top, because we've got 3 wholes which are split up into 5 and then 1/5 left over. So 3 times 5 is 15 plus the 1 is 16 over 5 times by 2. So when we're doing this, remember that when we're multiplying and dividing fractions, we don't need the denominator the same. However, it's worth thinking about this question with a denominator to get where we want to be. So how do I write 2 as a fraction? Well, I write this one as 2 over 1. Now, it's worth looking at this stage. Is there anything on top which cancels with anything on the bottom? And in this case, there isn't anything. So 16 doesn't cancel with 5, 16 doesn't cancel with 1. 2, you can also look across here, so it's called cross-cancelling. So 2 doesn't cancel with 5, and 2 don't cancel with 1. So I'm just timesing straight across. So it's going to be 16 times by 2, which is equal to 32, all over 5 times by 1, which is 5. Now, we haven't actually finished there, because it says, give your answer as a mixed number in its simplest form. So this here is an improper fraction. So what we've got to do is we've got to write that as a mixed number. So the question we ask ourselves is how many times does 5 go into 32 and what's left over? So that's going to be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So it goes in 6 times with 2/5 left over. And that's that question done. So let's have a look at our next question. So here we've got example 2. You might want to pause and have a go at this one if you want yourself. If not, I'm going to go through it now. So here we've got example 2. And we've got 1 and 2 over 9 times by 2 and 2 over 5. So the first thing we need to do is change this to an improper fraction. So 1 times by 9 plus the 2. So 1 times by 9 is equal to 9 plus the 2 is 11 over 9 times by 2 times by 5 plus the 2. Well, 2 times by 5 is equal to 10 plus the 2 is equal to 12 over 5. Now remember, at this stage I said it's worth having a look if there's anything we can cancel, and we can also cancel on top. You can cancel anything on this top row here with anything on this bottom row here. You can't cancel across, but you can cancel anything on the top row with anything on the bottom row. So 11 and 9 don't cancel. 12 and 5 don't cancel. However, there is something that goes into 9 and 12. And that number is 3. So I can divide this one by 3. So 9 divided by 3 is 3. I can divide this one by 3, and this is 4. So you can cancel anything that's on the top with anything that's on the bottom when you're multiplying these here. And that just makes it easier in the long run because you don't have to think about what numbers go into these big numbers later on. You don't need to cancel down big numbers. So then we multiply the top. So 11 times by 4 is equal to 44. And 3 times by 5 is 15. So it does say to write it as a mixed number. So how many times does 15 go into 44 and what's left over? Well, 15, 30, so twice. 45 is the next one. So it goes in twice. And there's actually 14 over 15 left over. Brilliant. So let's look at example 3. Let's check that was right. 2 and 14 over 15. Brilliant. So, example 3. Again, you might want to pause if you want to have a go at this yourself. I'm going to get it down and have a go at it. So 3 and 2 over 3 times by 1 and 1 over 4. So the first thing we need to do is change this to an improper fraction. So 2 times by 3 plus 2, well 2 times by 3 is 9, plus the 2 is 11 over 3. 1 times by 4 plus 1, so 1 times by 4 is equal to 4, plus the 1 is 5 over 4. So we check whether anything cancels, so nothing here cancels across. The 5 doesn't cancel with 3, 11 doesn't cancel with 4. So I'm just going to multiply this. 11 times by 5 is equal to 55. 3 times by 4 is equal to 12. And then it does want it as a mixed number. So how many times does 12 go into 55 and what's left over? That is tricky, especially because it's your 12 times table. So 12, 24, 36, 48. So it goes in 4 times. And how do you get from 48 to 55? Well, that's 7 over 12. How do I get from 48 to 55? There's 7 there. So it's going to be the 7 over 12. Let's just check that. Brilliant. Okay, let's have a little look now at divide. So you might have, if you've seen the previous videos, had remembered what acronym we use for this. We use KFC. Now this does not stand for Kentucky Fried Chicken. This does stand for keep, flip, change. Okay, so it means we keep the first one, we change that divide to a times, and you flip that fraction round. So let's have a look at this one. This is example 4. Remember to make sure you're getting this down in your notes. The only way to learn maths is to do it. So, before I do anything, exactly the same as multiplying, I'm going to change these to improper fractions. So 1 times by 5 is 5, plus the 1 is 6 over 5, divided by 3 over 4. Now I use KFC, keep, flip, change. So I keep the first one, I flip this fraction, and I change this divide to a times. At this stage, again, it's worth thinking about, can you cancel anything on the top with anything on the bottom? Well, you notice you've got this 3 and 6, and 3 goes into both of those. So how many times does 3 go into 6? Twice. How many times does 3 go into 3? Once. So 2 times by 4 is equal to 8. 5 times by 1 is 5. And it does want it as a mixed number. So how many times does 5 go into 8 and what's left over? Well, it goes in once with 3 left over. Brilliant. So it's just that extra layer. It's that extra little step. And these questions that we're looking at now, in the GCSE, in the GCSE, they literally come up just like this. So you'll notice this is 2 marks. This has come straight from a past paper. Okay. So let's have a look at example 5. So I'm going to give you the opportunity to pause and have a go at this yourself. So pause now if you want to have a go at this. I'm going to have a little go at it to make sure we're getting it right. So 5 and 2 over 5 divided by 1 and 1 over 5. So let's change it first to an improper fraction. So 5 times by 5 is 25, plus the 2 is 27 over 5. Divided by 1 times by 5 is 5, plus the 1 is 6 over 5. I'm going to be using KFC. Keep this first one. Flip this one. And change this divide to a times. So, with this now, you might think to yourself, why can't I just times the top and times the bottom? You can do that if you want. However, you've got these horrible numbers. 27 times by 5 is difficult. And then it's going to be even more difficult if you want to simplify it. So we've got to see whether we can cancel anything on the top with anything on the bottom first. And you can see that you can. So there's a 5 and 5 that cancel, so they're on the top and bottom. So 5, how many times is 5 going to 5 once? How many times is 5 going to 5 once? But also, we can cancel this. You notice that 3 goes into both of these. So how many times does 3 go into 27? 9 times. How many times does 3 go into 6? Twice. And then I times the top. So 9 times by 1 is 9. 1 times by 2 is 2. And then the question here is, we're going to write it as a mixed number. So how many times does 2 go into 9 and what's left over? Well, 2 goes into 9 4 times with 1 left over. There, like so. Brilliant. So that was example 5. I've got one last tricky one, which basically looks at everything we've done so far. So this is example 6. If you want to pause and have a go at this one yourself, then pause now and have a go at yourself. If you're feeling confident enough, I'm going to quickly go through it and then we're going to have a go at some questions ourselves. So here we've got 2 divided by 2 over 3 times by 2 and 2 over 3. So we're bringing loads of elements together here. We've got to be thinking about BIDMAS or BODMAS or order of operation because we've got to do the bracket first, then we do the times in the bracket, then we do the divide. We've also got to think about this part here when we are changing this to an improper fraction. There's loads of things going on. That's what makes this really tricky. Okay, so first of all, before anything, I'm going to change these to improper fractions. So 2 divided by 2 over 3 times by 2 times by 3 is 6 plus the 2 is 8 over 3. Brilliant. Then I'm going to start doing these. So you've got to do this bracket first. So does anything on the top cancel with anything on the bottom? No, it doesn't. So 2 divided by 2 times by 8 is 16. 3 times by 3 is 9. Now I'm doing 2 divided by all of this, so I want this to look like a fraction. So it's going to be 2 over 1 divided by 16 over 9. Now I'm going to be using KFC. So keep, flip, so instead of 16 over 9, it's going to be 9 over 16, and change this divide to a times. Then we're going to see if we can cross cancel. Yes, we can because 2 goes into both of these. So how many times does 2 go into 2? Once. How many times does 2 go into 16? 8 times. And then 1 times by 9 is equal to 9. 1 times by 8 is equal to 8. So we've got here, so 8 over 9, let's write this as a mixed number. So how many times does 8 go into 9 and what's left over? Well, 8 goes into 9 once, and then there's going to be 1 out of 8 left over. And that's that question done. Now, there's loads of different steps there, and that's what makes this tricky. Now, I know that we can do all these steps, but it's about combining them. So changing our mixed number to a top-heavy, to an improper, then multiplying. Then we're writing our whole number as a fraction. Then we're dividing by using KFC. And then we're converting back. That's loads of different steps. And you might think, oh, I can do all of these. Yes, but when you're doing them all together, it does make it trickier. Okay, so let's have a little go at these now. So we've got some questions here for you to have a go at. I'm going to put these up. So pause now and have a little go at these. Notice that these are all GCSE past paper questions. So these are worth 3 marks. And you get some really tricky questions which are worth 3 marks. And these are really tricky. Okay, I'm going to put the answers up. So mark these in green. If you got that last one right, well done. That was a really tricky one. Okay, so thank you for watching this video on multiplying and dividing mixed numbers. Remember to make sure you're having a go at these, because the only way to learn maths is to do it, and have a lovely day.